This is a Founding Media podcast. Good morning. Welcome to Masters and Founders. I'm your host, Dan Dillard. I'm here with John Arrow from Mutual Mobile. I'm really excited about this conversation. Thanks for being with us.
Dan, really happy to join you. Thanks for coming by our office.
I love this place. I was just telling you how wonderful and beautiful this is. So those that can't see it, we do have the video on Masters and Founders Facebook group, so you can watch this. But we're sitting in front of a beautiful day, right almost close to street parking, so you'll hear a little bit of road noise, but it's beautiful. I am excited about this. We have had a couple of conversations, and I'm really excited about your story and what we can share with the audience about how your path and what you've done. So will you tell the audience just to start with a little bit about Mutual Mobile, and then we'll jump into your story.
Sounds great. Again, really happy to join. I've listened to the other podcasts and happy to be a part of this. So Mutual Mobile is essentially an emerging technologies company that figures out how to help the Fortune 1000 generate either more revenue or save costs. And we focus on really high stakes problems. So we've worked with Google, we've worked with Ford, we've worked with Nike on bringing in technology like mobile, virtual reality, or Internet of Things and doing something amazing with it. We have about 200 people right now, and they're some of the brightest in the industry as it relates to emerging technology.
Really cool. How old is Mutual Mobile?
Coming up on our 10-year anniversary
Wow.
soon, so we're 9, but next April will be 10.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to becoming the founder. As you know, Masters and Founders is all about people that have masters. Anyone that's got 10,000 hours in their craft, following their passion. A founder is someone who started a company, and you're one of both. So let's talk about that. Where did it start for you?
So it started at the University of Texas, and I got the job the old-fashioned way. I was the only person in the room at the time, and so kind of started the company by myself, and very quickly found some amazing co-founders at the university. We were all involved in aviation, and I got my pilot's license as a freshman at UT. I met my co-founders there, and we kicked it off, and it was something where in the early days of the company, we were splitting our time between classes and building the organization.
Wow. So when did you know that you wanted to start a company? Is it right in college? You're like, I'm just going to do this. There's no, I want to go get a job thought process?
That's a great question. It's something that some of my earliest memories involve wanting to work for myself. So growing up, I was that kid going door to door, trying to sell different knickknacks and trying to, in the Austin hot summers, selling lemonade on the street corners. In the winter, I would have a hot chocolate stand. And so as early as I can remember, I was kind of had this entrepreneurial streak in me. And it's funny, it was one of those things that probably drove my parents a bit crazy. I have this vivid memory of being 8 or 9 years old, and we would always go and try to sell our elderly neighbors, whatever it was that day that we had thought of. And they were this super sweet, nice couple, and they would buy it from us. One day, I remember going door to door with my best friend, and we had found these plants. We lived on a green belt growing up, and we found these beautiful plants, and we said, surely they would like to buy them. So we rung the doorbell. They both answered together. I still remember this. And they looked at the plants and they just shook their head, no, we don't want to buy these plants. And thought that was kind of strange. So being an eight-year-old, we went back to doing what we were doing before and started playing. Later that afternoon, I hear my mom, kind of in almost an angrily or frustrated voice call me in and say, why did you dig up our neighbors' plants and try to sell them back to them? And so I didn't make that connection that they were their plants. But this was a recurring theme that early on I realized that it was amazing when you can come up with an idea and you're self-reliant on executing it. And so I got involved in the internet during the dot-com boom. I was 11 or 12 then, but kind of realized what you could do then. And so would do different experiments. And when mobile happened, I realized it was going to be like the dot-com boom again, but wanted to figure out how to build a sustainable company versus something that was just living in the limelight.
And when that mobile happened, was that you were in college? You were like, this is the thing I want to chase.
Exactly. 2007 is when Steve Jobs first announced the iPhone. 2008 it shipped. 2009 is when the App Store happened. And so I have this vivid memory of sitting in a dorm room and watching the recorded video of Jobs announcing the iPhone and realizing, wow, this was going to fundamentally change the way that the world worked. And a lot of people at that time realized this was going to be a significant device. I think what made myself and my co-founders really stand up and take notice is that we saw it as this inflection point that was as significant as the TV or the internet or the wheel. That the world was going to be different afterwards.
Wow. So you had that thought, like, this is going to change the world and I need to be part of that.
And that was kind of really the catalyst was, wow, this is going to change the world. I want to be a part of fostering that and figuring out how we can accelerate that faster. And you know, we didn't know what we didn't know at the time. We just knew that, wow, this was going to be incredible. We wanted to be a part of it.
What were you studying in school? Was it technology or were you studying other things?
I took a buffet of courses at UT and switched my major many times. So I started as an economics major, I switched to advertising, got some computer science in there as well, and even some sociology, and I left one course shy of a degree, I believe, in sociology.
Nice, very nice.
But I'm pretty sure my parents think I graduated, so.
Well, we won't tell them.
Won't tell.
I like that. So, tell me about the people that you've worked. Well, I've got so many questions, and I'm going to start over.
Sure.
Your first app. Because you were talking to me about that, and I thought it was pretty fascinating.
Well, I love talking about this one. It's funny though, just taking a step back. The reason that I really wanted to start the company was it was a selfish reason. I wanted to find other people that were passionate about that technology, and so we needed something for everybody to rally around. And then going back to the first app, we knew that the company we wanted to build was going to be about kind of solving these high-stake problems. We didn't want to just throw software in the store and see what happens. So kind of the funny thing that we did as a first project together was this application called Hang Time. And so Hang Time used the accelerometer in your phone to figure out how high you threw your first iPhone. And this was something that it's as ridiculous as it sounds. The thing that made it even more ridiculous was we made a leaderboard so you could track to see who threw their phone the highest. And now, this was not some amazing design feat. This wasn't brilliant engineering. The reason that it was successful was because there were less than 100 apps in the App Store. Today, there's about 2 million apps in the store.
Wow. We
did it when there were about 100. And there wasn't much to buy. And so if you got your fancy new iPhone from the Apple Store, the first thing that you did was you browsed the App Store and you said, what says Hang Time? And we sold it for 99 cents. And before we knew it, we had tens of thousands of people downloading it and using it. And this leaderboard kept rising. So we'd see it go from about a half second to 1.1 seconds. And, you know, the funny thing I like to show is, like, I mean, this is a pretty high throw that I just did there in this room. It didn't hit the ceiling, but that was only about 0.4, maybe 0.3 seconds. Okay. And so the people that were throwing this, they were getting into it. And before we knew it, we said, okay, the scores are leveling out. Let's go work on building a real company. Nobody looked at the scores. Nobody went back there. It wasn't until a couple months later we happened to check the leaderboard, and there was a score for about I think it was 17 seconds or so. And get in touch with the guy, ask him how he hacked their app because we wanted to fix it. And as I was telling you earlier, the crazy thing about it was he said, no, I didn't hack it. I went skydiving. And then as soon as he did that, the name of the game became, who could wait the longest to open their parachute. The scores kept rising. Apple pulled it from the store, and rightly so.
It became dangerous at that point.
It became dangerous, and it wasn't something that we wanted necessarily to be known for.
It wasn't your intent. It was never your intent to do that.
It was just it was just a fun thing. It was a great way for my co-founders to get to know each other, and it was named the second dumbest iPhone app of all time by Gizmodo, which is one of the awards we don't have up here at the office, but we probably should.
I would. I'd display it proudly.
Maybe we should. The thing. I mean, even more than the award, and even more than just kind of the exposure and the notoriety around it, is it made us realize, wow, it's thrilling to create something on this new platform and have people immediately be able to access it. If you think about the traditional software distribution model, you would have to go down to Best Buy or to Circuit City or to Egghead, and you would buy a piece of software. You put the CD in your computer, and you cross your fingers and hope that maybe it would install, right? I have that vivid memory, and I'm sure you do too, of software being difficult to install. You would never know if it would work.
Right.
And then even when you could download it on the internet, it was the same thing. There was so much different fragmentation in hardware, you never knew if it was going to work on your computer. So it was a real pain. With the distribution model that Apple created, it changed that all. Yeah. You could just know, if I download this, not only is it going to work, not only is it going to do what it said it was going to do, it's also going to probably be pretty good because past the Apple curation of editors. So after we did Hang Time, we started looking at, well, where could significant software really make a difference in the world? What we was talking to you about earlier is healthcare was the natural place that we started out. We realized that in 2009, when we started the company, 7 times more people were dying every year due to medical errors and car accidents.
Wow.
And it was just this mind-boggling stat. I didn't have much exposure to healthcare, but I realized, hey, this is a significant problem. I think mobile could probably address this. Mm-hmm. And so we dove in with kind of our beginner's mind, our nascent mindset, and said, how could the iPhone specifically fix this? And we realized that the incumbent problem was this paper and pen workflow, where doctors, nurses were writing down information, and there was a lot of places for small details to get messed up. And every so often, somebody would get the wrong medication or an order of magnitude more of a medication, it would kill them. And so unfortunate, in my mind, so preventable too. Right. So we created this application. We found a healthcare company that wanted to partner with us on it and created something that took that paper and pen workflow and simply moved it over to the iPhone. This is pre-iPad. So we launched this in some hospitals and kind of had our first fire hose moment. We were learning about FDA approval and all of that, and we got it in the hospital. And before we knew it, patients who were under the care of this app with their nurse or their doctor, they were having less medical errors. And it was this moment that, wow, okay, this really works. We might be onto something here. And so not only that, it helped the company too. It helped the healthcare company sell a new product. So that was the gravy. And then we started looking at other high stakes problems. We went to education. We figured out how can we keep kids in school who have literacy problems by creating textbooks on the iPhone and the iPad. How can we look at the financial services and figure out a way that make banking easier for people? So we started looking at it with that same mindset. How not so much how can we necessarily drive revenue for our customer or help them save money? Yes, that's important. But how can we really solve some high stake problem for a user that previously technology hasn't been able to solve?
Really cool. So now the question I was going to ask you is, what are some of the companies you've had an opportunity to work with?
That's one of my beyond. Number one is working with the people. I love our employees and getting to work with just people who know way more about emerging technology than I do. That's the most thrilling thing. A close second is getting to work with these amazing companies. We've worked with the majority of the Fortune 500 on something. And so the ones that, without any particular order, the ones that just come to mind most recently is we worked with the founder of Uber early on his company, StumbleUpon, bringing them to the iPad. And this was before Uber, and we were talking to Garrett Camp, who was the original chairman and is still the chairman there. Getting access to those types of people and getting to listen to their ideas. And I remember even hearing him talk about this last mile problem before Uber existed. Yeah. And so just thinking about where it was today, and this is not something that was that unusual. We've had this moment again and again. We got to work with Google in 2010 when we had more mobile engineers at Mutual Mobile than Google did. Wow. Which seems absolutely insane. Yeah. But at the time, kind of right place, right luck, and desire to build something great. We were Google's vendor of choice on building a lot of their internal applications. We built Google Wallet. We built Google Boutiques. We worked with them on a lot of high-stake problems. One of the things that has amazed me the most about our customers, we got to work with Nike on this incredible application that united skaters around the world and built out this whole community. This one time at our office, we turned our office into a skate park and invited the local skating community in Austin. Wow. And it caused a bit of damage, as you might expect, but we learned a lot from it. I'd say by far one of the most meaningful applications that to me is we've gotten to work with Under Armour. We built MapMyFitness. Oh, wow. And got to partner with MapMyFitness on that, and then they were acquired by Under Armour. And if you look at this, every day across the world, over 200 million people log in to use a piece of technology that we built. And it's instead of about, throwing their iPhone in the air, this time it's about going out and getting physical fitness. And you realize that people who use this application day in and day out, they live a healthier lifestyle. Yes, it helps Under Armour sell more clothes,
right.
but more importantly, it gets them active and they share it with their family and friends. And it's hard to imagine kind of the other positive externalities that have occurred as a result of that.
I was laughing with you because the first unintentional consequence of your first app was like, oh, maybe putting lives in danger. But the rest of the time, it's like you've created this real value for other companies and helping save lives in some of the apps. And that's really, really wonderful. One of the things that I wanted to touch on that I think is super important is, especially for our audience that's trying to build their own business and do their own thing, how do you go? Many people think, I got to go build this map, I've got to go build this business plan, I got to go raise money. I mean, there's just this path. But yours was a little bit different. You actually didn't raise money.
We didn't. It was something that was incredibly important to me. I grew up in Austin. I saw the trials and the tribulations of the dot-com boom and bust, and I realized I want to make a company that's profitable from day one. Mm-hmm. And so there was a lot of temptation along the way to look at raising money for Mutual Mobile. But I realized that if we had an investor early on, we would be splitting our effort and where we are focused between our investor and our customers.
Right.
And so we focused on letting our customers really be our investors. And that meant that we built the company that the market really wanted. It wasn't always an easy thing to do. I don't think raising money is an easy thing to do either, but it forced us to be a different type of company than a lot of our competitors, and allowed us, I think, to actually grow quicker as a result.
So the process then, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the process then is you've got to go pre-sell the idea of a concept to a company and solve that problem, and then have them cut you a check so you can start working on it. Is that?
That's exactly right. I mean, we every person that we hired, we were paying their salary no matter what, and it continues to be so today. So we need to figure out how we can build valuable things for our customers. Otherwise, we're not going to keep growing as a business. So that was always the challenge, and there was this constant seesaw back and forth. And I think it was a healthy seesaw where we would close a bunch of new customers. We would close, I don't know, the next Google. I'm having a blank right now. We would close something with Xerox, and then we'd have to go out and hire a lot of engineers and designers, and then we would have those people, and then we need to go sell something else, and it allowed us to kind of seesaw back and forth really, really quickly and improve our skills and our process as a result of it. It was tempting early on when we had these unsolicited offers coming in, only 1 or 2 years into the company's existence, saying, hey, we don't need to see a deck, we don't need you to pitch, we're ready to invest, here's a term sheet. And they would fly us, they'd fly down to Austin, and they do the whining and dining thing, and lay down a term sheet. And early on, there were some pretty big numbers there for a company that was this young. And I am so thankful that we did not take that, because it would have closed our options. It would have required us to be a company that we didn't want to be.
So staying true to your heart and passion.
Exactly.
The way you want to build it.
That's 100% right.
That's awesome. I really love that. And I think it's so important for the audience to know that, just because there are multiple ways to make things work. Mm-hmm. And there's not one or right way or another. You've got to just the way that fits right for you. And for those out there that are bootstrapping and trying to figure things out, I look at the process the same, whether you're knocking on doors to get money to raise for your company, or whether you're knocking on customers' doors and saying, hey, trust me, we're going to build this thing. You still got to do the work.
Totally.
And then build it that way. So how big is Mutual Mobile now as far as revenue and assets and that kind of stuff, just to give the audience an idea of what you've been able to build from scratch?
So we're about 9 years old now. We just celebrated our $200 million revenue. So it's something that we're really passionate about.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Yeah. And it hasn't always been an up and to the right journey. There's been, just like with any company, there's been some dips and valleys along the way as we've started to climb. The business is growing rapidly right now. We're going to have one of our best quarters that we've had in the last few years. So we're excited about that. Some amazing new customers starting. Under Armour continues to be a great customer of ours. So what I'm really, really excited about for the company is we're starting to see the next mobile. So every few years, it seems like it's increasing the cadence of these. We get some new piece of emerging technology that becomes a rocket ship, not just for our business, but for human progress and innovation. And with virtual reality, with augmented reality, we're seeing that happen again. We finally got our ship date for the Magic Leap glasses. They should be here soon. And so we're anticipating a lot of work on that front and getting to kind of build out that what's probably going to be bigger than mobile.
Wow. I believe that. I saw your room, and can't wait to come in and play with that.
Please do. Yeah, anytime you want. Anyone in Austin who wants to play with virtual reality technology, come to Mutual Mobile. We'd love to have you here.
I love to hear that. One thing I wanted to visit about or talk about to the audience is failures, because we talked about this the other day for you. And you don't see failures as failures. You see failures as what?
I think that they're a great kind of ground truth, right? It's very difficult, I think, when you're building a company to get unequivocal feedback that something didn't work. And so we see failure here as unequivocal proof we need to go a different direction. So whenever we have a failure internally at Mutual Mobile, whether it's we didn't win a new account or we didn't hit the business objectives that we wanted to hit, we do a post-mortem. Just like when someone dies, but we do it on the opportunity, and it's this kind of, take the emotion out of it, and we say, what happened? And how can we learn from that? How can we improve from that? And so one of my kind of wishes as a community in Austin and just the startup ecosystem in general is we should talk about that more, because there's so many learnings from that. You turn to Crunchbase or any of the news publications, and you always see the success stories about when it worked well and how everybody's going good guns, right? It'd be just as fascinating, probably more helpful to read about the times that it didn't. And yes, there's a stigma associated. I can understand why. I think if we get past that, we'll all be better as a result.
I agree 100%. One of the things that, as we were discussing, purpose of the magazine is good, bad, and ugly. So I want to be able to bring out the good, the bad, and the ugly, because all that's education.
Totally.
Every bit of that is education. And failure, to me, is just education. It's like, okay, write that up. And the only way for anyone to grow is that change, and that growth is like go down that path, hit your head against the wall, and say, okay, well, that wasn't it. Let's go this other way. But in my experience, my failures have always led. I've got so much value out of the failures that I just wouldn't change a thing for the world, because it's like that's where you get the experience and knowledge and value. I do want to bring up your age, just because I think that it's important for the audience to understand that what you've been able to accomplish in such a short time. And as if you haven't done the math, he started in 2007. You were still in college. So
Started in 2009, yeah.
2009,
Yeah.
right? Okay, the App Store was 2009. Age 31.
You got it. Good math. I don't know if I can do that this early in the morning.
Well, you've done some incredible things. What's the future look like for you? Are you Mutual Mobile? Is this it? Are you doing other things, or what do you think?
So, my philosophy always has been it's important to have a lot of irons in the fire, right? That it's as passionate as you can be about one thing, which I am about Mutual Mobile. I always have different things going. Mutual Mobile, what's really fascinating as it relates to kind of this new vector of virtual reality and augmented reality, I think it's the perfect vector to go out and be the biggest company in that space, to have the most kind of exciting opportunities. So right now, I'm heads down, 100% focused on Mutual Mobile. But have a lot of other passions too. I'm an avid pilot. I enjoy flying, so I'm always make time about once a week to go fly somewhere to keep your skills sharp. I'm looking at a lot of interesting opportunities in the basically autonomous drone space that could carry passengers. So that's something that's fascinating to me. I love biotechnology and figuring out how we can eventually stop the aging process and live forever.
I love that idea.
I think it's almost here. It's a good thing.
Wow.
I wish I had. I don't know if I will have anything to do with it, but I hopefully will get to partake in it.
Well, I definitely want to go grab a beer with you and talk more about that piece.
Yes, let's do it.
For sure. Anything else you want to share with the audience? I think this has been a wonderful education for them.
Well, thank you. Well, I would just say I feel like, going back to what you were saying about kind of the failures and successes, let's talk about them. Let's talk about them more. Let's bring them to light. Yeah. And also, one of the things that I appreciate about this city more than probably anywhere else in the world is how accessible it is. If you go to San Francisco, yes, there's per capita way more startups, way more interest, way more companies in that density of space, but they're all pretty siloed. Here in Austin, everyone's accessible. So I would invite anyone who's interested, come to Mutual Mobile, play in our VR lab. Let us know if we can be helpful in any way.
That is part of the community. I've talked to so many people that I was having a conversation. Was it you that we were talking about? What name Austin in one word? And I said community. Is that?
I think that it was us. Yeah,
we
that was you and I.
Yeah.
That was spot on.
Yeah, because it is exactly what Austin's about. Is just reaching out. I need help with this, or I just want to have coffee. And everybody's so open. And I think there's the growth and energy and just creativity that happens, and just being able to be that open is unstoppable, in my opinion.
Couldn't agree more.
thank you so much for being with us this morning. I really enjoyed this and look forward to hearing more about the things that you're working on.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care.